Hey everybody, in this expose we'll be dealing with channeling extraterrestrials or channeling aliens, demon possession. Channeling, which we've explored in some of Hollywood's best actors, they use this technique to channel a character, which in essence is demon possession. We looked at several different videos that we've done in the past with Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson, and several other actors like Jack Nicholson uses this technique for acting to take on a character. They're channeling an actual spirit. We actually see this within channeling extraterrestrials. Individuals channel these spiritual entities, quote unquote, from another galaxy. And a lot of times when they are channeling these entities, it's ironic that these entities are very antichrist in their language. They promote New Age, they promote Eastern philosophies and other things and all, but they do not promote the Most High God. They do not promote the true living God. So in this expose, we will examine the true essence of channeling extraterrestrials is actually lines up what the Bible calls demon possession.
Minor, but this is your first clue that something is wrong here. We are being set up for something. Even they admit it doesn't stack up. The whole premise of UFOs and aliens is built on a lie called evolution, okay? As we already saw in our text, who is the father of all lies on the planet? Satan, folks. So that's why I wanted to open up with that text. I'm not making this up, okay? And listen, when you put this together, you realize just how dark, how deceptive, how cunning, how slowly, methodically the enemy has been working to get us to fall for this last days lie of UFOs. Listen, he first had to get the whole world to turn away from Judeo-Christianity and to buy into the lie of evolution first, didn't he? Which means, think about it, guys. This is how evil he is. He's been working on this last days lies for the last 150 years, starting with Charles Darwin, and it's only coming into fruition in our lifetime. Slowly, patiently, methodically, he's been setting us up to this last days lie of UFOs to lead us away from Christ. He had to first get the whole planet to believe in evolution. But that was just step one. Step two is, so now that you can believe this whole premise that these beings that you see are a higher evolved race. Do you see it? And it's just now coming to fruition. The second way that we know that UFOs are clearly demonic, they not only lie like demons, they teach like demons, okay? And they don't just lie, but they have to propagate those lies with false teachings is what they're called out there, okay? And folks, when you take a look at the teachings that are supposed to be coming from these UFOs, these space brothers, these aliens, guess what? Hey, shocker, John, wonder of wonders, they just happen to agree with 100% and promote occultic New Age teachings. Shocker. Okay? Listen to these supposed messages that these beings have come all the way across the galaxy just to share with you and I, and tell me if it doesn't sound familiar exactly like New Age, okay? Here's the messages that people are, quote unquote, receiving from these entities. First of all, they've come all the way across the universe to tell us that we are little gods. Genesis chapter 3, that's a lie of Satan in the garden. That's New Age. Really? You come all the way to the universe just to that? That's not all. They come all the way across the universe and to teach us the earth is a living entity, and we need to worship her, Mother Earth. And we need to change our ways or we will be destroyed. Hey, that's like with the Gaia worship environment. Really? Oh, then they say, no. Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha all came from the ETs to assist mankind in our next step of evolution. Really? All the way across the universe just to tell us that? They come all the way across the universe just to tell us there is no such thing as sin and we do not need to be saved. All the way across the universe just to tell. What? You got to be kidding me. Then they say, no. Orthodox Christianity's got it all wrong. You've come all the way across the universe to tell us this. Jesus' real message was to teach us that each one of us can become Christs. All the way across the universe to teach that message, but that still is not. They say, hey, in order to contact them, this higher technically advanced race, we need to refrain from certain foods. Were you here last week? What did the Bible say was a teaching from demons in the last days? Well, that's a whole day. Hey, I got a lot of ground to cover, John. Don't do that to me. That's exactly what we saw last week. You come all the way across the universe just to agree with the demonic teaching in the last days, refrain from certain foods, and practice meditation. Get yourself into an altered state of consciousness. What? Okay, well, you hear this. You come all the way across the universe just to teach us that mankind needs to unite into a, of all things, one world government and a one world religion in order for us to keep from being destroyed. Well, that's interesting. And this has got to be the nail in the coffin. You come all the way across the universe just to tell us of all entities that the devil or Lucifer is actually a good guy and he's come to free us. These are actual messages recorded, supposedly coming from these entities. Excuse me? Folks, this is pure common sense logic. Okay? You come all the way across the universe just to tell me that Satan is a good guy. Now, hey, I don't profess to be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm kind of thinking that's something that Satan and demons would do. How about you guys? Okay? In fact, it's so obvious, folks, that even researchers admit this. Listen to what Dr. Walter Martin said. He said, listen, the big problem is not what they are, it's who they are. He said the key is to their theology, i.e. what they're teaching. Pay attention to it. That tells you their identity. He said they're all saying the same thing. You come all the way across the universe and you badmouth the Bible. Not some other, quote, religious book out there, but it's all about bad-mouthing the Bible. He says, in other words, it's a supernatural manifestation, which Christianity calls demonic. And I love this point from John Ankerberg. He says, in light of the messages given by UFO entities, how credible is it to think that literally thousands of genuine extraterrestrials would fly millions and billions of light years just to teach New Age philosophy, deny Christianity, and support the occult? Why would they do this with the preponderance of such activity already occurring on this planet? And why would they consistently lie about things which we know are true? And why would they purposely deceive their contacts? Well, I agree, John, and I'll give you the answer. It's because they're demons. That's what demons do. They lie and they propagate false teachings just like their follower Satan. Right? This is common sense, folks. Why in the world would you come all the way across the universe? And of all things, you promote the rise of the Antichrist kingdom, you support occultic New Age teachings, and you debunk only Christianity. I mean, you would think if you're a real alien, and this higher evolved technological race, much greater than us, that you would actually come here and share something we could use. You know, maybe a cure for cancer, maybe some new technological device to stop the energy crisis, blah, 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 blah. But no, you come all the way across the universe just to slam Jesus, just to slam Christianity, just to slam the Bible and promote the Antichrist kingdom. Oh yeah, and say Satan's a good guy who's come to free us. Come on, folks, what's that? That's a demon, okay? But that's still a third reason why we know UFOs are demonic in origin is because they communicate like demons. This is wild, folks. It's ludicrous, actually, okay? Now, if you were paying attention to the list of teachings that we saw earlier, of all methods of contact, what was it that these beings are saying we need to do in order to be able to communicate with them? They say we need to abstain from certain foods, right? And we need to practice meditation. Why? Because if you're familiar with the New Age movement, which is what I came out of before I got saved, these are part of the techniques that you are encouraged to get yourself into an altered state of consciousness so that you can now get yourself into a position to communicate with the spirits out there. And folks, I tell you what, believe it or not, that's exactly what they encourage us to do. They call it channeling, okay? But the Bible calls it demonic. Let's take a look at what God calls this behavior. Deuteronomy chapter 18, we saw this before, verses 9 through 12, tells us about this form of communication. When you enter the land the Lord your God has given you, you do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations there. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices his son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who's a what? Medium or spiritist, and that's what they do with channeling, or who consults with the dead. Anyone who does these things is what? They're blessed by God because that's acceptable. Detestable by God. What? Why? Because it's a demonic practice. As we saw, Jesus wants us to know the truth so that we can be set free. He does not want us to practice a demonic form of communication so that we will be lied to and deceived, because that's what they do every single time, is to lead people away from the truth. Now, here's the whole point. Wonder of wonders, can you guess just what form of communication of all forms you can pick from in the universe? It just happens to be that these beings say we have to engage him if we're going to make contact with them. It's mediumship, spiritism, demonic channeling. In fact, here's some people being contacted by UFOs in action. Let's take a look.
God doesn't live outside of you. God is you.
While Jay-Z Knight is among the more successful mediums, she is certainly not alone. A nearly identical doctrine is preached from a series of channelers who believe they are in communication with extraterrestrial spirits from other planets and galaxies. In the documentary UFOs and Channeling, the late actor Telly Savalas reveals that the purpose of channeling these alien entities is entirely consistent with the purpose of the New Thought New Age movement, to change the thinking of mankind.
Tonight, we're going to show you some film that may change the way you think about life. Change the way you think about life.
Next, we are introduced to a woman who channels a spirit, calling itself Leah.
Hello, Philip. How are you today?
Very good, Leah. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. So, what is it that you wanted to know?
Where are you from?
I'm from Venus.
I don't think anybody's going to believe that you or anybody else could be from Venus. Could you explain to us how you could be when everybody knows it's uninhabitable?
They think it's uninhabitable because it is not inhabitable by physical life forms. We have bodies of light.
While Leah rambles on with fantastical ideas, she soon compels the audience toward global unity, a message found throughout the New Age movement.
And what occurs here on this planet will affect the rest of the universe. Can you, with all of your different ideas, all of your different races, come together as one planet and one people? We have dedicated millennia upon millennia.
Communicated with, beside the obvious evidence, the unobvious. The non-physical is often just as real. Jack Purcell, insurance executive on a trip away from home, sits down in his hotel room and decides to meditate.
To my awareness, I fell asleep because I just everything kind of went fuzzy and black and was gone until the next moment I opened my eyes apologizing, gosh, I'm sorry I fell asleep. At which time Penny explained that no, I hadn't really fallen asleep, that about 2 hours had transpired, by golly it had, and that this experience had happened, and she had written down as much as she possibly could of this entity named Lazarus who had communicated through me. Penny and Lazarus made a tape recording, and that's when it hit me like, this is very, very strange and very weird. And I was very skeptical. I mean, I'm stubborn, no. About 6 months before I thought, okay, maybe there's something that I should pay attention to here. And that's pretty much how it began.
We'd be very much interested in talking to Lazarus now. Would that be possible?
Sure. Yeah, it takes about 30 to 45 seconds, and outwardly it will look like I'm just sitting here with my eyes closed, and then he'll come through and, I'm sure he'll like to talk to you. To go into trance is a very simple process. I visualize myself with a number of other things. The final visualization is spinning backwards in larger and larger concentric circles. And at a certain point, it just sort of fades into nothing. All right, fine. Well, indeed, a pleasure to be talking with you. And, well, shall we begin where you'd like to begin?
Yes, Lazarus, we'd like to ask you, for everybody watching, could you tell us who you are?
Well, that's a difficulty indeed. We're opening to figuring that out ourselves, aren't we? Just as you and your approach are looking for that particular question, that is perhaps the question of all time. Who are you and who are we indeed? We describe ourselves perhaps as a spark of consciousness, a spark of love. For we have no body, we never have. That somehow disturbs people from time to time, in terms of the assumption that any growing consciousness must at some time in its life do service, perhaps in the physical form, on the earth, most preferably, but acceptably on other levels indeed. But indeed, we've never done that, When the question was put, do you want to grow? You answered and we answered both, yes. And when the question was put, do you want to do that physically? You said yes, we said no. And therein lies our difference. Now, the problem here is people look out there, yes? They're looking all over the place as though God was somehow outside of them. It's within. Every spiritual reference, be it fundamental or be it avant-garde, speaks of that spirit within. And we would suggest here that it's there. And therefore, your task in this physical lifetime really isn't to find God, because God's everywhere. God is all that is everything. It's all over the place. Your task in any physical incarnation is to find yourself.
When I was about 18 years old, I was meditating, learning how to relax, to work within my everyday world. And I challenged concepts of metaphysics, of religion, of everyday life. And I demanded an answer. And I laid back on the bed and just listened. And Mina, a spiritual entity, manifested in my bedroom.
What do you mean, manifested?
She physically formed. It was a material manifestation. And I closed my eyes, laid back down, opened my eyes. She was still there.
Can you tell us what she looked like?
She appeared tall. She appeared to be 6 to 7 foot tall. And at that moment, I was looking all around the room. And as I would gaze back at her, because I was lying down, I would say between 6 and 7 foot tall. She appeared to have clothing on, but at the same time was glowing with light. And there was an essence of darkness for hair. I couldn't actually say I saw hair, but I saw the image of that, a visual image.
What did the face look like?
The face looked almost ageless, probably within 30s or 40s, very soft and serene. Then it took me a process of going into an altered state of consciousness that would take 2 to 3 hours in the beginning, of intense relaxation, meditation techniques. And at that time, through the process of having an outside individual asking questions, we maintained connection, but it was more of a sensation of hearing her telepathically and then telling you what I heard. During that time, I would say I was a conscious channel, and I had the option to edit what she was saying if I didn't like it. And it wasn't until about 7 or 8 years ago that I decided to be an unconscious channel and let her have full reign. And I do not recall anything that's happening in channeling anymore.
My name is Mina, and we thank you for inviting us to this occasion, my dear sweet child.
The first question, Mina, could you tell us who you are and where you're from?
To be basic, we are from the dimension of the universe, universal mind, or from which some call God. For your finite terms, you are more interested in where we came from in our physical dimension, we are sure. And we have been upon the planet from the essence of its beginning, thousands of years ago. We, 4 of us, were seeded from other dimensions within the universe. The most interesting lifetimes for you children of the media is in regard to Egyptian life